To do a combination dry snuff video because it's been a very long time since I've had that, but I figured, you know what? Despite the fact that I don't have the proper glasses to do it in, I'll do a whiskey review instead. 40 Creek Double Barrel Reserve Canadian Whiskey. Finished in once mellow American bourbon barrels. It says established in 1992. I would have been 9. Eight or 9 years old. I do not remember 40 Creek. In fact, I discovered 40 Creek sometime out in early to mid 2000s. I went into my, at the time, local liquor store, and the gentleman working there actually recommended 40 Creek. Actually recommended Crown Royal because it was on sale, but said that 40 Creek is better. And me being even back then during my early drinking years, a big fan of Canadian whiskey, decided to give the 40 Creek a try, and I have been a fine admirer of it ever since. Now, this is what it looks like. It's showing up a bit more amber in the video. And by the way, there's nothing on the back other than the address, barcode, return for refund where applicable, blah blah blah. It does have a very fine smell. This is a high quality rye whiskey. As far as Canadian ryes go, I have yet to discover anything better. Barefaced comes close, but Barefaced is better than Crown Royal, but not as good as 40 Creek. And by the way, this is the first bottle of 40 Creek Double Barrel that I've ever purchased, despite me going through about half the bottle by now. Has a very raw grain flavor to it. I am detecting just a slight hint of corn, which might be because they use corn mash with the rye. It might be because it's aged in American bourbon barrels. But it smells good. Tastes good as well. Very smooth. Somewhat crisp. It's a very satisfying rye whiskey. And it's one that's meant to be drunk straight. Don't mix it with ginger ale or Corla or what have you, like you would with lower grade whiskey. I'm looking at you, Canadian Club. No, this is a whiskey that's meant to be drunk on its own. Now, despite people saying to add a drop of water to it, as it brings out the smokiness. I drink my whiskey straight from the glass. I don't bother adding a drop of water because there's usually no water conveniently beside me for me to add even a drop. And if I were to do this, it'd be literally just a drop. I won't add a splash, I'd add just a drop. It does have an oak aroma to it. So I'm not getting it from the flavor. I am getting rye, and it's a very satisfying rye. It's well, just a small dram of this will satisfy your belly. There is no offensive aftertaste. In fact, there is nothing offensive about this whatsoever. It's just a nice, high quality, satisfying Canadian whiskey. And as far as rye whiskeys go, it's one of my favorites. In fact, the whole 40 Creek lineup, with the exception of their spiced whiskey, which I believe they add honey to, and I have yet to have their 40 Creek Irish Cream. I find Irish Cream is something that, while I enjoy it, I don't enjoy it enough to warrant buying a bottle. And the few times that I do, I go through it rather quickly because it's very... it goes down too quickly, too easily. I haven't had the 40 Creek Irish whiskey. I really don't want to because I'm fear it will ruin the quality of the whiskey with adding all that sugar and cream and vanilla and what have you to it. I find 40 Creek stands absolutely well on its own. It's delicious. One of the best rye whiskeys I've ever had. They have various lineups and they're offering, like the double barrels, a barrel select, the copper pot reserves, the spiced, which for a spiced whiskey I don't mind, but I prefer 40 Creek without the addition of the honey and whatever other spices they add to it. It's a delicious, high quality whiskey. It'll warm you up during the cold winter months. And while not the best whiskey, I find a single malt Scotch is superior to any Canadian whiskey. As far as Canadian whiskeys go, I have yet to find anything better than the 40 Creek lineup. I cannot sing its praises enough. 40% alcohol by volume, so 80 proof, I believe. Final rating is going to be tough. I am naturally biased towards this whiskey as far as my, not every day because I don't drink every day, but as far as my go-to whiskey, I always gravitate towards 40 Creek. So I fear my rating is going to either be higher than it deserves or seem higher even though it's worthy of the high rating. I think it is easily worth a 92 out of 100. And yes, that is me admitting my bias towards it, but I am trying to take my bias out of the equation and give it a good, honest rating. And I can honestly rate this a 92. Hell, I can rate it a 97, but I'm pretty sure if I were to rate it a 97, that will take my bias into the equation, so I'm rating it a 92. I cannot recommend it enough. Even their regular 40 Creek is absolutely superb. If you see it on the shelf and you're a fan of rye whiskey, and I cannot stress this enough, you drink your whiskey straight, maybe add a drop of water to it. You don't buy a bottle of whiskey to mix with a cola or make a cocktail out of it. You drink it straight, by all means. I cannot recommend this enough. If you are the kind of person who always mixes their whiskey, don't buy it, because it'd be a waste. Mixing this with anything, with the possible exception of a drop of water, you're wasting a high quality whiskey. And this whiskey is of the highest quality that I can say that I've ever experienced in a rye whiskey. So don't waste it by mixing it because you just want to have a bottle of whiskey to get impaired on. This is a whiskey meant to be savored. It's not a whiskey meant to get drunk on. I stand by my rating of 92. And I will even go so far as to say that even a 97 rating will be worthy of this, but I am going to give it, my end result rating is going to be a 92. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have yourselves a good day, and bye.